Hello, welcome to Nate Netflix. I'm Nate, you are you, and do you like cults? I hope not. Do you like movies about cults? I hope so, because that is what we are talking about today. Today we are reviewing 1BR, a new 2020 horror film about a young woman who is trying to escape an abusive situation back home while also pursuing her dreams of being a costume designer in, of course, Hollywood. Now this is a tale that, many people have lived out. This is a very popular fantasy, but also when you look at Hollywood, not exactly the cleanest past. I mean, recently we had the Me Too movement, but even before then, when you go back to the quote-unquote golden age of Hollywood, there's always a lot of griminess just beneath the glitz and glamour. So this movie kind of explores that. It also kind of taps into the cults that seem to always be lingering around Hollywood, whether it be Scientology or like Charles Manson. He was really close to Hollywood. It's just a part of it when you look at the history of that town. And so this movie, I'm gonna go ahead and give it its props right up front. I have issues with it and we will get to those, but this movie does a very exemplary job of showing you how exactly somebody could get involved in a cult, because that, to a healthy person in a very stable scenario or situation, that can be a hard thing to wrap your mind around. You can be like, how on earth could anybody ever get absorbed into that lifestyle? How can anybody ever be that misled? And this movie really shows you how it happens. Because this young girl, she doesn't have a support system in this new town. She's coming from a bad situation. She's probably never had the type of love and nurturing she needs. And so that's great. I love the way that they show the cult's tactics here, and man, is it brutal at times. So that is a plus, because it is not cliche. When this film started, I was like, oh man, I see what they're setting up here. It's gonna be the same old run-of-the-mill thing. It's gonna be a bunch of tropes that we always get with these movies, and that's not how it is. The way that they indoctrinate her or attempt to, it feels very fresh, and it feels like it's being done on film in ways that you haven't seen it at times. It's a little bit hard to watch, which is a good thing, at least to me. But negatives. This movie, it just didn't enthrall me the way it felt like it should. It felt like it was this close, it was right there, but I think sometimes when it comes to movies, or it comes to a musical act, it comes to an athlete, just anything to do with entertainment, you have to have that it factor, and this movie is lacking the it factor. At times it just kind of lulls. I don't think that you feel as much sympathy as for this woman as you should. I mean, this is a terrible scenario, but I think it was rushed too much. I think that they were so eager to give you all the creepy, weird, hard to watch cult stuff that they didn't flesh her out enough, that you don't feel enough connection with her, you don't know her well enough. And then even on the other side of things, this cult that is her foil, it has so many members, but none of them feel fleshed out either. You can't really get too attached to any of them or hate any of them enough, because you don't spend enough time with them. You don't know who they are, what they're about, how they were brought into this cult. And so it's kind of weak from a character standpoint. I think a movie like this, character development is so important, and it's not there with this film. Also, I think the budgetary constraints may have hurt this movie. This is not a movie from a major studio, and so that shows up sometimes. For me, a big way this shows up is the music. The score here, it does not do anything to punch up the dread or tension. A lot of times when it's non-lyrical music, it's just kind of really simple piano music that you might hear in like your dentist's waiting room. So needless to say that doesn't do much for the movie. It might contribute to that kind of lollygag and pace that you feel at times. I'm telling you, this movie at times you're like, I should be so engrossed, but I just can't get there. I can't get invested with 1BR. So that's obviously a big issue. And then my biggest issue, and it comes right at the end of the movie, and so it really ruins a lot of goodwill, and it's like my lasting impression of this film. I felt they straight up ripped off The Invitation. If you haven't seen The Invitation, it's another movie that kind of touches on this subject. I think it's available on Netflix still, and it is a very strong film. It's a little bit of a slow burn, but I would say it's a much better film than 1BR. But anyways, that ending, it's pretty much replicated here in 1BR. You could say that, there's a difference here or there, but the way it uses the color red, the way it uses lights, the whole setup of the scene is exactly the same. The fact that Invitation came first and it's carried out in a more eerie, kind of unsettling fashion, it just makes 1BR look that much worse for potentially ripping it off. So that being said, if you want to check out this film, hey, you might like it more than me. There is some good stuff here. If you want to see some fresh spins on like cults and their tactics, how they take someone and remove their identity, how they kind of whittle them down and then make their mantras and their beliefs seem like science. That's the term used in this movie. Then hey, check it out. The lead actress, this is her first movie and she does a fantastic job. But like I said, I just have some issues with the script. Some elements seemed rushed, the music was kind of weak, and just in general, I felt like it wasn't quite there. It lacked that it factor. But anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm Nate for Nate Flick saying that's a wrap.